Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The regular meeting of the Texarkana, Arkansas Planning Commission is called to order. Agendas are available on the rail. Excuse me, so please help yourself. We will take items as they are listed on the agenda with a few changes. I will read each item and ask the person representing the request come forward to the podium. Please state your name and address for the recorded secretary. Please present any information and make any comments you have about your request. Be prepared to respond to any questions that members of the Planning Commission may have of you. Thank you. Roll call.
Boots Thomas is absent. Jason Dupree is absent. Dr. Hickerson?
Here.
Chris Owens?
Here.
Anita Pickett is absent. Corey Moggs?
Here.
And Chairman Neal.
Here. We have 4 of 7, so we have a quorum and we can conduct business. Item number 2, adoption of the summarized minutes of the December 9th, 2025 minutes.
Approve as sent,
Second.
please.
We have a motion to approve and a second to approve the December 9th minutes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, as a point of privilege for the chair, I'd like to reverse items number 3 and 4 on the agenda, just because item number 3 probably would take less time, and we can go ahead and get that out of the way. So, any problems with the commissioners in doing that?
No.
Okay, all right. So item number 3, request by VFW chapter number 4562, Tom Ornberg, Post Service Officer, to rename East 9th from Locust Street to the city limits in honor of Denver Bull Randleman.
Just so we understand, we are not readdressing the property on East 9th Street. This is going to be named in honor of Denver Bull Randleman. And I'm going to turn this over to Tom because he's the expert.
All right.
First off, my name is Tom Ornberg, 2523 Wood Street. I have here Denver Bull Randleman's shadow box that was presented to him posthumously by Frank DeAngelis, a World War II veteran who created shadow boxes for over 1,000 veterans to include most of Easy Company. I just wanted to kind of do a little show and tell here, show you guys, and then put it on the chair. If you want to look a little closer, I can definitely bring it to you guys if you're interested. Also, that picture that I gave you. So that picture that I gave you is the family of Denver Randleman. Just to show everybody here what I have here. So if you look at the tallest guy, that's Bull. And he was only 5'11", if you can believe that. To the left is Max Randleman Sr. These are all deceased, by the way. Max Randleman Sr., who is a Master Sergeant, served in World War II and during Korea was a Green Beret, has a Silver Star, Bronze Stars, Purple Hearts. Jack was a Gunny Sergeant in the Marine Corps in World War II. Denver, of course, World War II. Dallas Jr., World War II, was a First Sergeant. And Charles, a little boy that you see sitting there in the tie and suit, he was in Vietnam and had several Bronze Star medals. And their mother, Zora, who raised all 5 boys on her own. So with a little bit of background, I'd like to thank you for letting me present this to you. The cities of Texarkana, Arkansas, and Texas issued a joint proclamation recognizing Texarkana as a military-friendly community. This includes acknowledging the contributions of the nation's service members and fostering a culture of appreciation across the region. We welcome the Twin City leaders to collaborate with the Texarkana Area Veterans Council, which meets at the American Legion Hall on the first Thursday of each month, 6 p.m. on the corner of Broad and Hazel. One thing I want to make perfectly clear, Denver Randleman is not a TV character. He was a living, breathing hero that lived and died in our town. He was portrayed by actor Michael Cudlitz in Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks' HBO miniseries Band of Brothers. Denver Bull Randleman was a decorated combat soldier for Easy Company, 2nd Battalion, 506 Parachute Infantry Regiment, and 101st Airborne Division. He parachuted into Normandy on D-Day, June 6, 1944, from a Douglas C-47 Skytrain known as the Goonie Bird. Immediately after landing, before he could even disassemble his parachute, he encountered his first German soldier, bayonet fixed, ready for his first kill. In Noonan, Holland, Bull was wounded in the shoulder from tank shrapnel during the failed Operation Market Garden. He laid in a ditch until darkness fell and eventually hid out in a barn after the Germans overran the place, causing the 101st and 82nd Airborne to retreat, leaving him behind enemy lines. He was assumed killed in action or captured. He could hear the German Panzer tanks driving nearby while hiding in the barn alone. A German soldier entered the barn where he lay in waiting, affixed his bayonet as to not alarm the encamped soldiers, and eliminated the threat. The next day, he regrouped with Easy Company. So he survived unimaginable horrors of war, to include the blistering cold and constant mortar shelling during the Battle of the Bulge in Bastogne. If he can do all of this for us, the least we can do for him is honor him. Company Commander Dick Winters referred to Bull as one of the best soldiers he ever had. Bull lived out his years here in Texarkana, Arkansas, and worked as an honest, quiet, and modest life until his untimely death in 2003. For many years, the people of Texarkana had no idea there was a giant among us. This giant now rests here forever at Chapelwood Memorial Cemetery. I'm here to make sure his honor and legacy remains. I ask that you pass this measure and rename or Memorial Highway designation East 9th Street from Locust Street to the city limits in honor of Staff Sergeant Denver Bull Randleman. And I would be more than happy to answer any questions about Bull. And thank you for your time.
Are there any questions?
No questions.
How old was he?
He was born in 1920, died in 2003, so that would be 83? Yeah. He died 2 years after the series was released, so he was not able to tour with the rest of Easy Company, and he was neglected in a nursing home. He had surgery and he had sepsis, and he ended up dying from that. So we definitely need to do something about Denver. And also, I don't know if you knew this, but Little Rock is going to erect a statue, a 10-foot statue in his honor, over by the Attorney General's office. Tim Griffin's commissioned that with Kevin Kress, who had done the, what's his name? Johnny Cash statue. It's in DC. So that will be something that I'm in communication with both Tim and the sculptor, and they're supposed to let me know so that we can be up there for that. So, and we did rename the VFW in his honor as well.
Wow.
On 82. It would be nice if we could rename the street, but I know we have limitations, so. Good. All right.
Always asked if there any opposition. I don't think there would be. But the chair would entertain, I think you've done an outstanding job, and this Staff Sergeant Bull is certainly worthy of this recognition.
He was also inducted in the Arkansas Military Veterans Hall of Fame 2 years ago, so.
Okay? All right.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, sir. All right. Chair would entertain a motion.
I move we approve the memorializing of Denver Bull Randleman.
Second.
The chair has a motion and a second to approve the recommendation. Roll call.
Dr. Hickerson, how would you vote? Chris Owens,
Yes.
Corey Mobbs,
Yes.
and Chairman Neal.
Yes. Motion passes. Thank you, sir. All right. Item number 4, rezoning request by Cohort Battle Investments to rezone the property located at 3411 East from C3 open display commercial to a planned unit development for the purpose of building duplexes. Property is legally described as Part Southeast Southwest, Section 4, Township 16 South, Range 28 West of Miller County, Arkansas, containing 5 acres more or less. Ward 1. and it was tabled from the December 9th meeting. Okay.
Right. This is out on East Street. Like I said, we had it here last month, and we tabled it because we didn't have a site plan yet, or a plat yet. We have that now. There's an abandoned building here that says Bucks and Ducks on it. And so it's that piece of property. Right now, it's zoned C3. This would be a planned unit development. So the only thing they can build there is what they're telling us they're going to build there. There is no sewer out there. They will be on a septic system. He's had the Department of Health and the water company come out and map the septic fields. Colin is here.
Okay.
If you have any questions for me, and I think there's probably some people here who want to address
Okay.
the board too. Velvet, can you pull up Colin's? Colin, did you?
Actually, Matthew will be.
Okay. This will.
Okay.
And then if you need a pointer, you'll have to use this one, because that one won't show up on the screen.
My name is Matthew Cowart. I live on 4717 Boyd Road. I'm one of the owners and developers of this. And so I live less than 1 mile away from this. Along with our business, Cleveback Construction is less than, it's half a mile away from this property. Here's some of the neighboring properties that are within reasonable distance from this property. This was the current state of the property when we purchased it. Like she said, there's abandoned Bucks and Ducks, and also Mr. Friday's house, which he passed away in, was burned on that property. Here's an overview of it. When we purchased it, you can see all the trash and debris that was on that property when we purchased it. And here's an overview of what we have laid out with one road going straight in with a cul-de-sac, with the houses spread out on there, duplexes spread out on there, compared to how the property was currently maintained by the previous owner. I don't think that's me anymore. Okay, so here's where we were, the overview of it, just so everybody on the board can kind of visualize the layout we had planned. So from the road, a lot of the structures won't even be visible because you have to actually turn down that road to access them. What we've done so far is we've hauled 40 loads of debris and trash out from that property. So that alone is already an improvement to that land. And this project's going to cost us approximately $1.2 to $1.3 million investment that we are looking to invest into Ward 1, because like I said, I live there, our business is there, our grandparents live there. So this is not something that we're just trying to throw some money at, when this is something we want to take pride in for future developments as well. And with that will be, this is not going to be a Section 8 housing. We have, which Colin, I think, is going to go over the group that we are going to hire to, this is some of the points they're going to do, the credit check, background, a very thorough vetting process for any tenants that may be able to live there. And this is some of the stuff that they touch on, like I said, Colin will touch more on this, but, you know, they maintain and manage all the yards, so it's not up to the renters. It's going to be contracted out on a schedule. It's going to be maintained on a schedule. Here's some current drawings that we have, kind of what we've been looking for, something like that, is what it will be. And here's some related projects that Colin, our builder, has done. He did those back in 2021, and you can go out there right now, and they still look the exact same because he has used the same management group that we plan on using. And like I said, 365 days a year, that property looks like that and very well maintained and manicured. And this is just another example of some stuff that we have going on our side right now out in Texas, is another subdivision that we take pride in, and, you know, we want to do the best we can to improve this area for housing and development for future businesses that we hope to bring to Texarkana and will come to Texarkana. Like I said, a brief overview, you know, I touched on, you know, this is a lot of money that we were wanting to invest into Ward 1 to improve the area for housing and any kind of economic growth we can get in that area, because Arkansas side is, you know, a little behind, but we would love to see it grow and prosper. That's all I have, other than I did reach out to some neighbors, and they signed documents here in support of it. They all live within 1 mile of this area. A lot of them couldn't come, but I have them here if anybody would like to view them. The phone numbers, address, emails are all on here that we have if anybody would like to review them. That's all right there.
And I do have a question. So with this large amount of plots of land, so it looks like they're 1.01, so let's just round it to 1 acre each. What was the business idea between duplexes versus single-family homes?
Well, just a way to maximize that area for us as investors.
Okay.
With the not having city sewer there, we had to run septic systems, and this was the best way to maximize that property value for us.
Gotcha. Okay.
And like I said, that's multiple more families that will have housing in that area.
Is there plans to have fencing? Like, I mean, I saw the way the houses were projected. There's a lot of backyard space. Like, is that going to be
That is
sectioned
something that we
off?
have talked about.
Is that just going to be a free-for-all?
No, we have talked about that, and if that is something that would make neighboring properties and the city feel better, that is something that we are open to, that we have talked about. If that is, you know, deemed what would be best for everybody, not just us, you know, all the neighboring properties and the city and whatever it may be best for.
How many cars per duplex do you have that in? Is it part of the rental agreement? How much?
Yes, sir, we do. We have a limitations on that, and also, you know, once we get to that point in the covenants, we'll have rules talking about, you know, nothing on the front porch, everything must be behind and maintained and presentable from the road, so.
It looks like there's a drawing of 4 parking spots. And excuse my ignorance, but what is a septic field?
So basically, it's where the field lines can run out to and dispose of any material.
So it's just an open spot?
No, there's septic tank and all kinds of stuff, yeah.
Sorry, excuse
Yeah.
my
Oh, you're
ignorance. That's,
You're fine.
I'm going to ask the ignorant questions.
And we have had park tests and all that already performed, so.
So are you just going to remain on the septic system, or is there any plans, future plans for sewer or anything like that?
That's up to the city. I mean, I think we talked to Tyler about it. I think that is proposed down the road, but there is not sewer ran out there as of now. I mean, I think it stops up by the loop there, I believe, is that right? Yeah. I think it stops up there by A1 Salvage up there and doesn't come on down 71. So that's, I mean, if sewer was there, we'd absolutely tie into it, but it's not there, so.
How many duplexes do you have proposed for the?
5,
Five.
so it'd be 10 families.
All the same size?
Yes, sir, all same size. About 1,350 square foot total. So it'd be, 6 and some change per side.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Do we have anyone here that would like to speak against the project? If you would, just state your name and address.
Karen Rhodes. I live at 3500 East Street. I've lived across the street from the Fridays for over 50 years. When one of Joel's fighting roosters got out of the fence, he ended up over in my yard, and my dog killed it. And Joel was pretty upset, and he called me about it, and we discussed it, and it was resolved peacefully. Kenneth Bullard lived to my north. He came over about every year just to talk and make sure that my kids knew that he didn't want them in the woods. And for 50 years, we had peaceful discussions about that, and my kids never went in his woods. The Whartons lived on the south side of me. After the Whartons died, their son rented out their house, and the renter threatened me with a gun because I was tearing down a beaver dam on my property, and he wanted to use the water for his garden. But I wanted to protect my trees from rotting due to the flooding of the dam that was caused by the beavers. So I contacted Walter Wharton, and we resolved the problem peacefully. When my husband died, Jake Lingo, long-term neighbor across the street, he called me. He said, "I've got my shotgun on the ready in case you ever need my help." I knew what he meant. He meant he was willing to look out for me and my kids, his neighbors. Property owners in and around that area have been requested now for rezoning. And we have to face many potential liabilities if our neighborhood is so drastically changed that we no longer can expect mutual respect from fellow landowners. We all bought our properties expecting to enjoy quasi-rural setting. We have our little ponds, some wooded land, small business, several acres of land that give us privacy without total seclusion from others. We're able to be acquainted with our neighbors without running into them every time we step out the door. But rezoning, this proposal, I'm sorry, but for us, it's a nightmare. We now have to face several huge and worrisome liabilities that might not only steal our peace and freedom, but could devalue our properties and cost us everything we have. Some of the liabilities include our ponds, our streams, our wells, our wooded property, our gardens, our pets, our garages and small businesses. All of this is now potentially an allurement and temptation to people who aren't homeowners and aren't invested in long-term commitment to the neighborhood. We can't guard our property 24/7 or guarantee that no harm will come to someone walking through our woods or falling or fishing in our ponds without permission. It may be a worst-case scenario, but can anyone say for sure that it's not potentially true? If not some of it, maybe all of it? When you know your neighbors, you can create a relationship of mutual respect and mitigate those concerns, especially with homeowners or business owners who are invested in the long-term commitment. And that's what our current neighborhood provides. But multifamily rental units are a different scenario altogether. It's difficult to build long-term relationships because rental units don't exist for long-term relationships. This plan suggests 10 lodgings, 5 duplexes. They would be constructed and any expansion would require additional approval from this commission. However, I think we would be naive to think that if you ignore our legitimate concerns today, that you would not ignore our concerns next time and the untold times in the future. Obviously, your approval today opens the door for an unlimited number of subsequent requests. And 5 acres is plenty of room for more properties. I pray this committee will truly represent the needs and concerns of all the residents who've been invited to this meeting, and many who weren't invited because they live more than 300 yards away. That's a travesty. They will be affected by this, but they don't know anything about it at this point. I pray you don't take these concerns lightly. A PUD does not fit our current demographics of the area that will be affected by the proposed rezoning. For our protection, we would be forced to post no trespassing signs and build fences around our ponds and lakes and fences around our property, which would be impossibly expensive and totally ineffective. Yet to mitigate our personal liability for potential harm to trespassers, that's exactly what would be required of us in order to protect ourselves from potential financial ruin. And furthermore, it would ruin the aesthetic appearance of our properties. A PUD is a misfit for this area. You have the power to devalue our properties, to upset our lives, to cost us a small fortune to protect ourselves from trespassers, to ruin the dreams of our children and grandchildren who hope to one day live at Grandma or Grandpa's house. However, a PUD in an urban area of Texarkana, where there are uninhabitable homes that need to be torn down, that'd be a perfect place for a PUD. It would restore some of the eyesores in our town. Why not build there instead? We all chose our homesteads carefully with our futures in mind. Approving this plan can ruin those dreams for many of those represented here tonight. I pray you will consider all your constituents, not just the construction company that's requesting the rezoning. And I thank you for the opportunity to share my concerns with you.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anyone else that would like to come and share their thoughts on the project?
Michael Giles, and I live at 4500 Old Blackman Ferry. I'm at the very far corner of Clevebat's property up there. And mine's not more of a concern, it's a question. We built out there in 2012, and, we had to jump through everybody's hoops and do this and do that. And one of them was, we were told on our septic system, one septic system, one house for 5 acres. Now, I don't know what they've got up their sleeve, and I don't know if the laws or rules have changed since 2012, but that's what I'm sitting here wondering about. You're talking 5 houses, 10 units. I'm assuming one septic system per house. So that's 5 septic systems on 5 acres. We were told one septic system for 5 acres. I don't know what's changed and where's all this stuff you know, I completely understand the septic system goes into a field line and then it leaches throughout the soil. That's what it's designed to do. But it's still, like my daddy told me a long time ago, crap rolls downhill, literally. So, you know, I'm not going to be affected with it by the groundwater, but I know there's a lot of people in that area that do have wells. I'd like to see a study to see if that's a possibility of leaching into somebody's well that they use day in and day out. You know, some sort of environmental study or something to that fact. You know, that's my concern. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Can I ask Jamie what's the answer to this?
I don't know.
One septic per 5 acres. Is that correct, sir?
It's
already been approved. Septic system
That's
per
what we
5
were
acres.
told in
Okay.
2012.
Also, 3 other neighbors that's recently built out there, they was told the same thing.
There's a lot of different parameters that go into that. This is already, it
If-
depends on type
if-
of soil. Okay.
Just like if you want to come up and,
Sorry.
Hi, I'm Colin Kuhn, 6211 Tennessee Road. I am the contractor for this potential building development. In accordance with the septic and all those issues, the state has performed a percolation test on each of the 5 lots out there. There's a lot of different factors that go into that, but the soil type is one of the main factors. They have approved that each building, which we have proposed, which has, each building has 4 bathrooms. They have already sized the correct septic tank and the amount of field lines for that property. So that's already been approved by the state. They don't have any issues with that. There are parameters, you know, they mentioned wells. There's parameters based on how far away from each well. They've already looked at that to make sure that the field lines would fit. There's no issues with that. And, you know, not every septic tank and field line is the same. There are certain lots out there. I think if we went back to that slideshow, there's one in the back. The soil isn't quite as good. It does require a little bit more field line, but generally speaking, that property has really good soil. So the perk test passed, no problem on that.
Well, have you ever heard of the one?
Yeah, it depends on soil quality. And if they're so close to lakes or streams or anything like that, they have to have certain parameters depending on where buildings are situated. I mean, it's a large study that they have to do, but the state has already performed that.
But yours passed the test.
Correct, yeah, and we have, I think that's already been sent to Jamie for approval.
just off the top of your head, what kind of soil is out in that area?
They would know better than me. I don't know what, like, it's a sandy select fill soil. So.
Okay.
Yep. And, you know, once you get into the fatty clays and things that don't absorb water well, that's where it gets tougher to do that.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to share their thoughts, ideas on the project?
I have one concern.
Okay.
My name is Linda Crawford, and I live at 5018 Country Road, which is about 1.25 miles to 1.5 miles from this property. I just recently became aware of this, and then I became concerned because within the past 2 years, at the corner of Union Road, which is also in our ward, and Highway 71, there's been about 28 acres cleared that I have been told was proposed for low-rent housing. However, the developer of that property apparently ran out of money to continue that project. If this one is allowed, then I expect we'll have another much larger development. I do not have any factual information other than what people that live on my street have told me just yesterday and today. When you talk about city sewer, we've been in our road, which was originally a dead-end street, with a small sewer, small water line. We do have city water. I was promised 30 years ago that we would have sewer, and then Bill King said, sorry, Linda, we're out of money. And so we don't have sewer there, so I think hopes of any city sewer anytime on 71 South or even further down is probably not going to happen anytime in my lifetime, and probably not anyone's. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Jerry Rhodes here for 3500 East Street. That was my mother that spoke to you earlier. She had a good speech prepared, did she not? The notices, she referred to the notices, and I just want to highlight this. As we went around and talked to a lot of people, most of the people we spoke with one-on-one did not know anything about this. It just goes to show you, it highlights that there's a disconnect between where a complex like this would normally go as to where it is being planned, as if whatever parameter is enough, whether it's 300 yards or whatever it was, to think that that's enough in a rural setting is preposterous. We have all these people out there that are going to be affected by this that had no clue. And she had mentioned that's a travesty, and that is exactly the way we felt about it, that this will affect us all, and many of us didn't know anything about it. The other concern we have is that this being kind of a tip of the spear, there's a lot of land south of that area where it is right there, which is also owned by the family, the same family that's related to the construction company. If this goes through right here on this 5 acres, there are untold acres just barely south of that are all owned within the same family. This could potentially literally change the structure of that entire area. And we've been a rural area for quite some time. We've enjoyed the things. It's the reasons that these families came to be there, and that would change everything. And I know Matthew mentioned that this particular complex would maximize the investment for them, and I believe it would. And he mentioned future investments, and I don't know if he meant just off of this lot or just this lot, but there's obviously, this is not where it stops. It's going to go from here, and if we aren't heard here and this goes through here, well, then our arguments they're not going to be heard later because it'll already be there. I kind of see this as an imposition of the many who live there for the sake of the few. And I think that the many that live there should be heard. I think a single-family home subdivision there would be great. It would be profitable for them. It would be beneficial for the community. It would be something that would work very good there. There are plenty of other opportunities, a lot of other places that would work. I know he mentioned a perk test. Had there been any studies done to see if any other runoff or anything like that, drainage issues would affect any of the waterways right next? There's some waterways right next to that and other properties. Had there been any studies to see how that would affect the areas around there?
Not aware.
Do we know?
Yeah, there's no, based on the current buildings that were there in the parking lot, there's no inverted coefficient that would make more runoff from that area.
That'll all turn to concrete. There's going to have a concrete street and driveways, which won't be absorbed, which will be more runoff than there is now. So I would be interested in seeing how that's going to affect the properties, especially the ones that border right there. We know that some are on wells, and the septic issue was kind of addressed, but as far as if the wells were the only thing considered, there's also ponds and creeks there as well. I mean, we're not just concerned about septic contamination in the wells. We're also concerned about it in our waterways, the ponds and the creeks that are out there. There's quite a bit of water around that area. And because of the water and because of the woodlands there, a concern for us is this thing called attractive nuisance. And that is an issue where it really, because of the layout of things, this is not a pool that you can build a fence around and say that you've done everything that you can do for liability purposes. You can't build fences around ponds. You can't build fences around lakes. I mean, this is not feasible. You're putting us in an indefensible position. You would be making it to, you'd be forcing us into a liability position that we can't control because we cannot screen those properties well enough to protect ourselves. It is absolutely impossible for that to happen. It's just not a good mix here. It could work somewhere else. They could make every dollar they make there, they could make it somewhere else. Why here? Why disrupt this particular rural setting when it could be done anywhere else in a more fitting area? And so we're asking you to please consider these things. You know, Matthew 7:12 and Luke 6:31, they both tell us to do unto others as we would have others do unto us. Now, I know that there are some on the other side of this that know how we feel. I've spoken with them and they've admitted it. They said we would feel the same way if it was us. I'm asking us to consider this. Please consider doing to others what you'd have done unto you. It should be a high bar to change a zoning like that, an incredibly high bar to go into a community where people have lived a certain way and they've come to expect a certain thing. It's the reason they built there. It is the very reason they moved there. To go and change that and potentially open the door for many, many more changes. It should be a bar that's higher than anything that I can decipher here. So I do ask you to consider this, and I thank you very much for the opportunity to be heard, and thank you for your
I have
time.
one comment.
Yes, sir.
I have no problem with what you said, but I want you to understand that we go as far as possible to let people know about stuff. You know, the word travesty has been used. We're not trying to hide anything. We just want, and James, they know the rules, and there is a limit. I know 300 feet, whatever it is.
300 feet.
I just want you to know, we won't,
300 feet. See, but what my point was this, we're a rural setting. That goes to show how that cannot possibly address a rural setting. That just goes to emphasize the mismatch. That may work in an urban where you got a street and people can hear, but in an urban setting, 300 feet is, what, 3 or 4 of us? And that's not right. That is just not right.
That's a state law, though. We can't.
But my emphasis is not, my emphasis was this, my primary, and please hear what my primary emphasis was. It's to show the mismatch, that it doesn't work in a rural setting. That was my point. Thank you for hearing it.
Question for the contractor. How do we get to this, Colin? How do we get to this point? Do we not communicate with the community before we have to get here?
Hi. Do I need to restate my name?
Yeah, if you would.
Okay, Colin Kuhn, 6211 Tennessee Road. To your question, as far as do we communicate with the community prior?
To making the decision to build? Do you talk with them before you decide
think-
this is a good fit?
I think generally, when looking at an area, I know there's multiple rentals in the area. I mean, if you draw a circle around the property, there's multiple rentals already within the area. Not everyone is a homeowner in that area. I think there's a few properties down where there's multiple camper trailers that are rented. I think there's a couple other, I think just down 71 to to the north, I mean, there's an apartment complex within a mile and a half, I think, from this property. So it's
Village
not
Park
like it's
South.
an extremely far-fetched idea that we would be able to build a it's not a multifamily project, but, it's a duplex on a 1 acre lot, which generally speaking is next to unheard of, just because of the space there. It's not like it's some sort of super tight area. It's not like you're putting 10 units within a half acre, which happens in more, urbanized places of the city. So it's not like it's some far-fetched idea, since there is other rentals in the area and everything like that. As far as back to your question, I don't think there is a study within, notifying homeowners and everything like that prior to the construction. I think it's more of a case study of how, if that project will work, if there's other projects around it that are similar, and do we feel like that would fit there? And B, if it would raise the value of the surrounding properties around it.
Does it devalue?
It does not devalue.
It does not.
No, I mean, we just had an appraisal done on the property. It was appraised at $180 a square foot for this property. There's a lot of comps recently. There's a lot of houses around that have been fixed up, and they're trying to get in I think it's $160 a square foot range for those prices. So actually building these would actually raise the values of those properties in that area.
Even if with them being duplexes and splitting a 1,300 square foot, so they'd be allowed 6 and some change.
Correct. It still is from an appraiser's standpoint, it will increase the appraisals in the area. And I guess I was a little confused between what the correlation between building these duplexes and also having to build fences around ponds that are not on the property. I guess I'm confused. I guess that's for some of the, I guess I don't understand what the correlation is there.
I could address that.
Okay.
Ten new families with kids. Hey, I raised 4 kids, and I know what they do. They go around and they find things that they'd like to explore. It just happens. They end up on your pond. They end up in your woods. They end up all over the place. And with them being renters, that was the point I was trying to make. When you have neighbors who own their property, they're long-term, you know them, if their kids come over and you feel like there's a potential for liability, you talk to them, and guess what? You don't have any more problems with it. But when it's renters, renter property is not built for long-term. Those residents will not be there all the time. They'll be in and out and back and forth. And we won't even know who they are. We won't know who to get in touch with. We won't know who these children belong to. And it may not just be children. It may be part of the adults that live there. But it raises the liability. There's no question about that. What we're used to is these single-family homes on a couple of acres of land. We know each other. We know our kids. We have a relationship. This would ruin that. We would have no relationship with these people because that's why they're renters. Otherwise, they'd buy a home somewhere. That's the difference.
I'm going to try to make it further clarify that for you. Jerry Rose, 3500 East Street again. It's a legal term, attractive nuisance. It's the reason in a neighborhood that people build fences around their pools. Because if the neighbor's kid wanders in and drowns in that pool, unfortunately, we live in a day where that means that homeowner could be sued out of existence. And that forces all the homeowners in that area to have to think about a stance like that when it's impossible, it's indefensible. We don't have a pool we can build a fence around. We have an oddly shaped pool that's got mud around parts of it and wood lines around part of it. And there's just no way to defend ourselves. That's why we say it's indefensible for us. We cannot defend. We can't do the things that people would normally do to protect themselves from those liability situations. I don't think it's right that that should be the case. I think if you're trespassing, it's on you, but that's just not the way things are these days. I checked with an attorney, and he said my concerns are valid. And so these are real concerns for these homeowners, a lot of us out there.
But how is that different than if, you said you agreed to a single family, so how is it different from a single family home versus, so you're just against development altogether? Isn't that- I
No,
mean, it's the same principle.
I own rental properties.
So
I
why-
own single family and multifamily.
So do I.
Because if, like, it's the thing she said. If you have, let's say there's 10 families now, most likely will be 20 families later. I know I'm speculating, but it's an investment. I don't know why you'd leave 5 duplexes on there and not build more later.
Because that's all that's.
With a rezoning.
That's all that's allowed on that property.
More meetings, more zoning, you'd have it rezoned. It's just, that's all you have to
All
do.
that'll fit with the state's approved perk test.
Okay, let's go with the 10 families.
Let's
Let's just go with the 10 families.
Let me just stop you right there. If you would just state what you like to say, and then if you like to
Okay.
come back after, well, let's not
Yeah,
go
the,
back and forth.
will do, thank you. The 10 families raises, they're coming and going. It means that we can't, as Mom was saying earlier, you can't have a relationship with people that come and go. And there's 10 families that come and go, and so we can't have those conversations to say, hey, listen, welcome to the neighborhood. Can you make sure that your kids, we saw them over on the pond the other day, would you mind letting them know that they can't come over unless they maybe talk to us and maybe we'll do some fishing together or something, but please don't just let them wander onto our property. A family comes in and comes out, and then let's say you have that conversation, you'll have to have it again next year for each one of those, and you can't maintain it. You just can't, you can't be that big, you can't be a guard dog that well, if that makes sense. Does it make sense? Okay.
Since you live over in this area, can I ask you a question? Okay, so I'm looking at my little plat thing. Where's the closest ponds to this area? Like,
There is one, for sure, that I know of right here on this, right here's one.
Okay. In the Bullard
There's
property?
one right
Oh,
there.
that one behind it, okay,
There's one right there that I know of, there's waterways all through back in here.
okay, okay, okay. You just can't see it from these pictures, and so that's why I'm.
Right, it is hard to see, even by looking at different pictures, it's hard, sometimes the ponds are covered in different, things that just settle on the water, and it's hard to see from an aerial view a lot of times where the ponds are. Sometimes they look like shadows instead of bodies of water.
Okay.
But there is quite a bit out there.
Okay.
It's just it's not that it would be hard to build fences and things around that to protect ourselves, it would just be impossible. That we would not be able to defend ourselves.
Okay.
Thank you.
Doyle Holmes, 3700 Peace Lane. Just to add to what he's talking about, just to the south of this map, it just off the grid or the screen there, we have a pond there. Not just that, you can't see there, but the creek actually goes around this piece of property, and it curves around and actually kind of feeds our pond behind this land here. But we grew up out here fishing and swimming in this area. It would be devastating to kind of change it up. I grew up, we had half of Arkansas High down at my place all the time, or Texarkana School District. Everybody wanted to come down. My mom would cook up the greatest meals. We would spend all day fishing and swimming back here. It would just be terrible to change this up in that way. We won't be able to swim in the creek. I don't know. The health department says it's okay, but I've known that soil since I was 6 years old. And there's no way you can put that much septic system in that small a place and not contaminate the creek that feeds all of our properties. It just winds around. That little creek feeds a bigger creek that goes around a lot of our houses. And it's going to limit what we do. We're going to be thinking about that all the time. But that's just my concerns with it. Not just that, but I also share concerns with people coming onto the property. It would just be a walk, a small walk onto our property from where the duplexes are going to be. It'll be visible from our property. And I don't see why anybody wouldn't want to go fishing in the pond, if they thought they can get away with it, because it's just right on the other side of the hill from where the house is. You can't see the pond from the house until you go up to the garden side. So you don't know if people are there or not. But I appreciate y'all hearing what I had to say, and that's my concerns. Thanks.
All right.
My name's Martin Thomas. I live at 3014 Lynn Ferry Road. And you're talking about ponds from that property? Probably less than 300 feet. I got a 10-acre pond. The Wharton House, they had renters in it. I'm looking down, I'm watching my property quite readily. There was 8 guys down there fishing. I drive down there, asked them what they doing. They said, well, the folks over there, where they rent. Said, there's a pond over here, and we just come over here and fish in it. So I asked them to leave, and it wasn't shortly another time, there was a couple over there fishing. They had about 40 fish in a bucket when I caught them. I asked them to leave. And this here recently, I had 3 guys that come from around Dallas area, and they GPSed it, and they drove down my property, and they've sitting there fishing on my lake from the Dallas area. So I don't want the liability, just like Karen Rhodes, she's got a little pond right there by her house. Same thing. I don't like to see people on my property, and if you have rental property over there, just like she said, their parents probably both would be working, and the kids get out, and they got to go see what's going on around there. And next thing you know, they'll be over on our property. I got a railroad levee that goes through there. It'd be hard to put a fence around it. I've had to ask several people to leave, especially at the rental property that was down there. And it'd be the same way, but just like Karen Rose says, if you neighbors, you know them and you'll talk to them, and if you have problems, then you'll deal with it with their parents. But come and go parents, you don't have none like that in rental property. So I'm not for it.
All right. Okay.
Terry Roberts, 2101 Selma, and I represent Ward 1 on the Board of Directors. I appreciate you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, for what all you do. I've got several things I'd like to go over. Since last Thursday, I've received 31 phone calls and text messages concerning this issue. I've been trying to respond to them during the meeting as quick as I could. I guess they're watching it live, but I've got 8 I hadn't got to yet. We do have rental property in that area. Rental property, not rental communities. I inherited, when I got elected in 2020, two areas, one on Hastings and one on Old Blackman Ferry Road, that was annexed in, so it was grandfathered in. And I have had nothing but pure heck with that. I mean, the police are there regular, the fire department has been there regular, Public Works has been there regular. It has been a nightmare that I've had to deal with. I've got calls at 2 o'clock in the morning that would blow your head off. It was just crazy, the stuff that goes on out there. And I talked to Mr. Cowart today, and I'm sure I've seen the work that Collins has done. It's great. But like in Ward 6, when they wanted to put the townhomes, I know Director Hart, when he was here at the time, they wanted single-family homes. And these people, they're proud property owners. I grew up on Line Ferry and Union Road. That's where my grandparents lived. I grew up there. We moved to the North Heights area. I moved back to that area as quick as I could. That's home. And we have more acreage in Ward 1 than all of the other wards combined. I mean, these people don't have lot and blocks. I mean, your home may be on 10 or 15 acres. And, you know, I hate to see something that is put on someone that has, and some of these people I have met, that I've known for years, some I've met through campaigning, and they take care of their property. I have probably walked about 80% of Ward 1, and I can tell you, it's a lot of property to walk. It's the largest ward by land mass, the second by population. And I have some questions, you know, about with the road study and the millage increase that was passed. We're really trying to increase the looks of that area. We've redid Hastings, we've redid Boyd. I know we've got Forest, which is a little further up, that we're going to redo. We've got Calico Duck that we're going to redo. We've done Union. We've got some roads that we're going to chip seal. Roger, I'm sure, I was sending him some emails earlier, and he said, I'm here. And so I know he gets tired of hearing from me. But, you know, there are areas of this community that need revitalization, that need help. I mean, when you hit Dudley, we have, and we've been working I've been working with the Ready Group in the chamber. We have one restaurant from Forest Street to Dudley. You have no banks. You have no dry cleaners. You have no pharmacies. We have no grocery stores. We have a food desert. I mean, there is no place to go. And in my opinion, if it was a single-family neighborhood, I don't think you'd have one person out here that would be against it, because you have more pride in ownership. And I know some people cannot afford to buy a home right now. I mean, it's hard to pay rent right now. But, you know, when you have people that have invested half their lives, some people that have just started out, they shouldn't have something put on them that they don't want. And housing is not an issue in our part in Ward 1. I mean, I don't think people should be penalized for owning property. And they've owned it for generations. I mean, this is family land that's been passed down and passed down and passed down. And I don't think something should be shoved on them that they don't want. And there are areas, but you talk to your people around North Heights, for instance, and I said, well, 53% of the people in my ward are on septic. And they say, what's that? And I said, well, lucky for you, you're able to flush your toilet without having to worry about something. If it rains too much in some of these areas, we have issues. And they were promised the moon, and we're lucky to get a rock back in 2000, from 98 to 2000 during all the annexation. They're never going to get sewer. I mean, that's just, that's not going to happen, not in my lifetime. And I mean, it's a shame what they were promised they didn't get. And I don't think anything should be taken away from them, because these people have worked hard for what they've got, and I'm sure that they would be willing to work with any group that wanted to put in single-family homes. I think that would totally increase that value out there. It's beautiful. If you haven't driven all of Ward 1, come get me. I'll take you through there. There are some beautiful, beautiful pieces of property out in Ward 1. But I do have a problem with some of the stuff going out there, because like I said, the experience we've had with rental communities is what has been annexed in, that was grandfathered in, and it's been nothing but trouble. I mean, documented through Chief Fletcher, the police chief, code, it's been one thing after another. I mean, we've got one rental community out there that Judge Potter levied $30,000 in fine zone until they are halfway in compliance, but it's a daily battle. It is a daily battle, and I'm not saying that this would be that way, but I don't want to take that chance and risk these people's, they're, like she said, passing down from family to children, grandchildren, not when we could work with other people, work with the group, and possibly move from rental to ownership, and revamp the duplexes and put in the possibility of some single-family homes in that area. But I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Director Roberts. Does anyone else have anything else that they want to share?
Good evening. My name's Melvin Paget. I own the home at 3620 Old Blackman Ferry Road, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm here to respectfully oppose the proposed duplex development. This neighborhood has historically been developed and maintained as a single-family residential area. Allowing duplexes would represent a significant change in land use that is inconsistent with the existing character of the neighborhood. My concern is not to grow, it is not an opposition of growth, but an inappropriate development. Introducing multifamily housing at this location could negatively affect long-term property values, discourage owner-occupied investment, and alter the stability of the neighborhood. Additionally, increased density raises concerns about traffic, parking, infrastructure, strain, and noise, none of which were designed for multi-use in this area. Respectively, I'd ask the Commission to consider whether this request aligns with the city's comprehensive plan, zoning intent, and the long-term interest of existing homeowners, and to deny the request for duplex development at this location. So they had mentioned earlier that question was why duplexes? Well, if you kind of round up some numbers, he said best use of the land investment was to put duplexes on it. So if hypothetically rent was per duplex around $1,200 a month for each 2 doors, that would be roughly $1,200 for each duplex. So at the end of 10 years, their income would be about $1,440,000, which would pay for those duplexes about 3 times over. Now, if they put in 5 new houses that were worth $300,000 each and sold those, they would make a good money, but they wouldn't make near the money as they would with duplexes. Duplexes will earn them 5 times that amount over 20 years. So if they're single-family houses, $300,000 each house, that's $1.5 million. But that's the American dream, is to own your own home. These duplexes are going to give people a place to live, but they're every month, all they're doing is making the investors wealthy. Now, people have to have a place to live. I get it. Renting is not against the law. It's people need to have a place to live. And so anyway, I would just like to see the neighborhood be able to stay somewhat like it is, be improved as needed, but adding duplexes is, I don't think, the right way to go.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else that would like to make a comment?
Colin Coon, 6211 Tennessee Road. I would just like to go over a couple things. These are some of the qualifications that the rental company, the management company, that they must have in order to rent at these duplexes. Some things that are very important, it's not, they're people that can't necessarily afford a house. They're not bad people, anything like that. We're just trying to provide a place for them to live. Hopefully, the idea is that, they will want to stay there long-term. We have other rental properties that we built in 2021, and we have tenants from the day that they moved in, and they're still there now. They're very happy. So it's not just always a quick turnover. Some people really like the area. They can continue to live there, and if they can save enough money, they would have an opportunity to purchase a house in this ward. It's if they like, everything that is happening there. But we do, federal background checks. There's screening. There's rental history verification with other landlords. A lot of things that go into this. And then there's, a lot of different things that, the tenant is responsible for any damage that is done to the unit, that they're responsible for doing that. They're less likely to do that. If they are causing issues, they do get evicted. That's just the way that the process works. And I do have printouts if y'all would like to look at this. But just going through, there is accountability there for the tenants. They know that they need to abide by the rules. There's rules that are laid out in here. If they don't, they get evicted. If they go to rent another place, they'll know that they have been evicted in their previous location, things like that. So there is some ownership to the rental side of it, not necessarily within the building, but for future for these tenants. So that's just something I'd like to touch on at the end here. So if you'd like to see this, I can pass those out. If not, I'd appreciate it.
Is the rental management company a local company?
They are a local company.
Who are they?
It's Tri Realty Group.
Is there someone on call so say this gets approved. Say you build it, it's beautiful, it's great, we're having a great time, and then someone screws up. Is there someone local 24/7 to call other than the police department and be like, hey, your renter is
Yes, there
on my
is.
property?
So
I've
that,
asked them to stop, they're not stopping. Is that a notice for eviction for y'all?
I think like if there's someone that's there saying that they need to stop and it's an abuse situation, I would say 100%.
Well, if
Yes.
it's on their property, like say they're on the property owner that's to the south, but I am directionally challenged, just one of the neighboring properties.
Yeah, I mean, if
They're on their property, is that grounds for eviction in y'all's rules? That they are trespassing in another one's property and they are not welcome?
I do not know the specific
Okay.
agreement for that specific situation, I
Okay.
guess. So I don't know the answer 100% to that.
Okay.
But I mean, if they're continually caught trespassing or anything like that, then,
So it's not a one and done type thing, like you're caught trespassing by?
I mean, it can be depending
Okay.
on the rental, I mean,
Okay. Do you know in your other rentals how many calls y'all have gotten for TAPD for like nuisances or anything like that? Do you know if there's been any from your trial rental?
personally, I have never been notified that we have
Okay.
had a call.
Okay. Have you had any evictions?
We had one eviction this past year, and that was just due to not paying their bill. There was no other issues besides that. And it's a very tedious screening process. Not just anyone that applies can rent.
Thank you, Colin.
All right, thank you.
All right, commissioners, have any other questions?
I have one question, Jamie. If, on the present zoning, C3, open display commercial, what can be there? What?
As far as residential uses,
Mm-hmm,
anything that's allowed in R4
okay.
can be allowed there with a conditional use permit. duplexes are allowed in R4, but they have to get a conditional use.
All right, last call. Anybody else wants to express their thoughts before we take a position?
Rick Springer, 3530 Old Blackman Ferry Road. My main concerns have already been addressed over here. I just want to, I agree with the sewage is a problem. I know they've had perk tests, but that land doesn't drain all that good. Without all that added sewage would be a problem. And it'd also be leakage into the ponds and creeks. That's my concern too. That's all I had to say.
Thanks, sir.
Matthew Cowart, 4717 Boyd Road. This has all been engineered by MTG. I mean, they have approved and reviewed building the lots up, drainage on the road, ditches that lead back to 71. So all property elevations have been adjusted to haul in dirt, make it suitable to all accommodate drainage, positive drainage on that property. So,
Thank you.
Cleveland Bad. I'm one of the investors in the property. Just want to make a point on the ponds and stuff. Our grandfather, right there across the street, he has like a 35-acre lake. And so he has the same exact issues. Last year, he found a car sinking in the lake. Somebody from the other side had came in and wanted fishing structure that he didn't even know. So this problem's already there. We already have had people fishing on those ponds. So, you know, that's already there. And then, let's see, we don't want to devalue the rest of the property. We want to continue to develop the properties, but not, I mean, we want to do single family and the rest of those, that acreage. So that's just all I wanted to say. So.
Cleveland, could you state your name and address? I got your name, but your address.
I live in Fout. So. Oh, it's, let's see, 1021 Miller County 41.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I could say this, that we are certainly not, we can't get it out. We can't solve all the problems, and we've heard each side and totally do understand. I've been a 9-year renter before, and one of the best that they'll ever had. I knew my neighbors and all of that, and certainly it is that we see both sides, but we know that we're living in a changing world. It's just the way that is. They change taxes, and I don't like it, but I still got to pay them. And so we just have to make the best decision, and I just want y'all to look at us as just human beings trying to make the best decision for this particular instance. We just want to make sure that we make the right decision for all involved.
And it does still have to go to the board of directors.
Exactly.
Final.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Either way.
Either way, yes or no, it still can go before the board of directors, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Just want to respond real quick. Jerry Rhodes, 3500 East Street. He had just mentioned that we do already have some of that. But I think the point that we're making is, yes, we have experience with that. We've been able to deal with that successfully because of the arrangement we've had. But I think as Mr. Thomas so succinctly put it, come and go, basically raises the bar so much to be able to manage that. it just gets more, that many more coming and going. It exponentially increases what we've already seen. So it's not like you've already seen it, you already have it, it's just going to keep going. If we already have it now, it's going to be a whole lot more later, and that is our concern. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I think I agree with Commissioner Owens. I think we've heard just about everything.
No, we hadn't.
J.C. Cowart, 1745 MC 22. I live in Fout. I feel like I had to say something. We want to make this work. We don't want to be the enemy of the rest of the ward. So we're open to, adjusting our policy with the management group for, trespassing. If we have problems with neighbors, we can address that with the management group. We're open to privacy fencing around the property. We've discussed that. We want to do whatever we can to improve the area, and like I said, we don't want to be the enemy of the area of the ward. So that's all I have to say.
I do have one last question. Sorry. I have all the questions. I know fiscally, it's more beneficial for you guys to have the duplexes. Is single-family homes even an option to consider, hearing what y'all have heard tonight with the sewage, with the worry about the runoff, with ponds? I mean, is that even radar material for you guys? What are y'all's thoughts on that?
Colin Coon, 6211 Tennessee Road. So there gets to be a balance between the cost of building versus the cost of rents.
Right.
If we were going to turn this into a 5-lot, 1-acre subdivision, you'd still have the same amount of runoff.
Okay.
You would still have the same amount of septic systems. You'd still have, all of that would be the same. The only thing different is it would be homeownership, or it could be potentially rentals, or it could be the duplexes with tenants. So, I mean, it could go, basically the footprint is the same as far as the runoff, the septic systems, the area of building, everything like that. But it gets to be where a single-family home rental can only rent for so much before it's unaffordable due to the fact that someone can go and buy a house. But this is, we're trying to give, some people in the area that can't afford, that want to be in this area, they may have, family members or anything that they need to be close to, due that to them getting older, anything like that, where they can rent here, they're close to them, but it's still affordable. So, thank you.
Yeah.
Melvin Paget, 3620 Old Blackman Ferry Road. So he had mentioned affordability. These little houses are 675 square foot. My question, or I'm wondering, is how many people are going to be living in a 675 square foot? Is there a...
They're 2-bedroom, 2-bath.
Okay. Does that mean 2 people, or the family with 2 and they got 4 kids? Is there a limit?
No.
Okay. On the parking, so each duplex will have 2 parking. Are they tandem, or are they side to side?
They actually accommodate for more. There'll actually be more room there than what's actually on the sale. Due to the fact that there is more, they'll be able to be accommodating, 6 or 7 spots feasible without running into parking.
So if they were having a birthday party and there were 10 cars to come in, would they be able to fit in that cul-de-sac?
Yes, sir, there's a lot of street there in extra parking. Yes, sir.
And just curious, and others don't have to answer this, but what is the projected rent per duplex?
The projected is $1,000 a month.
Okay.
All right, are the commissioners ready to
Yes, sir.
make a decision?
Yes, sir.
The chair would entertain a motion.
I move that we do not approve the rezoning.
Have a motion to not approve. Do you have a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second to not approve? Roll call?
Dr. Hickerson,
I'm voting yes for the motion.
Chris Owens,
Yeah.
Corey Mobs,
Yeah.
and Chairman Neal.
Yes.
So the motion to deny.
Motion to deny. Should you wish to appeal the commission's decision of this request, you can make your direct appeal to the Texarkana, Arkansas City Board of Directors. All right.
Let's go home.
Chair would entertain a motion
I
to,
move we adjourn.
I second.
Immediately.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.